Cowboys, and I want to give a major shout out to Mike Tag. Keep bringing the hype to the Cowboys Nation. We love and appreciate it. Now, can you dig it? Let's get it.
What's up, Cowboys Nation?
What is up, Cowboys Nation, or I should say Seminole Nation? We're gonna have a little change into the pace here. You got my Miami Hurricane, but we've got a great show. And sorry for the delay, but good things come to those who wait. And Jay Tuck, I know you're excited. I mean, we're talking about a legend for Florida State, national champion, Heisman Trophy, won all the awards, but probably a better person than he is an athlete. So that's what really, excites me at the opportunity to talk to him a little bit. But let's not waste any more time. What do you think, Jay Tuck?
Let's go. Let's get to it, man. I've been excited about this one for a while.
And I got a treat for you too. But let's bring in Mr. Charlie Ward, get you on the prime spot. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. How about you all?
Good. Well, you can see I transformed the Cowboys cave, and Jay Tuck knows it's a Seminole cave now, which it's very hard for a Kane to do. But I have the ultimate respect for you, and I just first want to thank you for joining the show, and hopefully we'll have some fun. What do you think, Jay Tuck and Charlie?
Yeah, I'm excited. So, Charlie, I have to tell you something. So, as a kid, my name is Jordan Michael Tucker. So, I was named after Michael Jordan. So, I grew up as a basketball player, and my uncle always said, "I want you to play football too." And I was like, "No, I just want to be a basketball player." And he's like, "You can be the next Charlie Ward." And I was like, "Who is Charlie Ward?" So, we sit down and watch the Florida State game. And from that moment, I became the biggest fan of yours and also the Noles. And I still have this card from when I was a kid. And it's you in like a football jersey, your Florida State football jersey, and also your shoulder pads. And I kept that card ever since I was a kid. So I'm super excited. So I want to say thank you for showing that you can be a dual sport athlete, but also it's okay to be a Seminoles fan. Because if not, I probably would have ended up like in that ugly green and orange.
It can't be that.
No,
my wife did go to University of Miami.
Well, there we go. Is it a house divided?
It's House United in our house.
No, that's awesome. Well, let's kick into it. And we don't want to age anybody, but I was in high school during these key years, and I had Coach Erickson on recently, and we talked about those Miami years, in the early 90s. And it was all about Florida State, Miami, college football. To me, it's still, I try and tell some of these younger guys, at that point, it was the greatest rivalry that I've ever seen, and the excitement, but really the respect that the teams had for each other. So looking back at 92, your first start, your first season at the helm with the Seminoles, playing Miami, you got wide right 2 down in the Orange Bowl. What, you let them down to that drive. What did that feel like for the team? Just that was your only loss, and it's such a heartbreaking fashion. And you had it the year before with wide right 1. What was the mindset of the team?
Well, I mean, it was definitely a heartbreaking loss. You lose by 3 points, and during that time, a tie was just as good as a win. So we were hoping that we could make the field goal. However, it didn't happen. And we left some opportunities to score quite a few times in that game from an offensive standpoint, and defensively, to give up 19 points is a good deal. And they didn't give up very much either.
Yeah,
our defense and their defense, and so, but we lived in the red zone, but we kept kicking field goals. That was really the biggest difference. And you see that today in a lot of games. The team that lives in the red zone, but they continuously kick field goals, they normally don't win against, quality opponents. So that was our deal. And I mean, we just wanted to make sure that we didn't lose again.
Mhm.
And we didn't.
Yeah.
But during that time, you didn't have an opportunity. If you did lose, and the team that we lost to was the team that ended up playing for the national championship, they got beat that year. But we were just grateful that we didn't lose again and gave ourselves a chance to be prepared and ready for the next year.
Yeah, and
And
and the thing is, back in the day, the national championship was really decided a lot of times in that Miami Florida State game. Now
Mhm.
Dexter Carter was on, former Seminole, and he reminded me that one year that we won a national title, Florida State beat us. But, yeah, it happens that way. But going into the '93 season, and Jay Tuck, I know this is your year. This is what you want.
Mhm.
Just amazing, amazing, amazing season, and you put it on Miami. But Jay Tuck, any thoughts on that or any questions on
Yeah.
that?
So I was going to ask you, what was it like to play for the late great Bobby Bowden? Like, what was your fondest memory playing for Coach?
well, I mean, he was a Christian man, and he lived that way,
Mhm.
and he treated people with respect, and he was a riverboat gambler. I mean, he gambled a lot of times, and you know he was going to live with the results. He had
Mhm.
prepared himself, and he was a trick play guy offensively. He
Mhm.
liked putting in trick plays, but he had a great system. And his whole mantra was around family.
Mhm.
His family, faith, football,
Mhm.
uh, and so that is the way he coached. That's the way he lived, and I was grateful to have an opportunity to be a part of his program.
Yeah. So what ultimately led you to make the decision to go to Florida State? Because being a dual sport athlete, did you have other offers, or what actually sold you on becoming a Seminole?
Well, Coach Bowden allowed Brad Johnson to play basketball.
Mhm.
The other team that was in the mix was the University of Georgia.
Mhm.
They didn't have anybody
Mhm.
that played basketball and football. So it made it a relatively easy decision once it was all said and done. Coach Bowden said that I could play basketball. And I had to do my part by making sure my grades were in order.
Mhm.
And he said if that was the case, then I would have an opportunity to play. Even though it took me a year to get on the basketball court because I was the punter the first year, my freshman year. And then that spring, they wanted me to go out and get one spring in. I knew I wasn't going to compete for the starting job because the two guys that were there were sophomores.
Mhm.
So they tried to trick me, like you come out in the spring and you can compete for the job, and that wasn't the case. And I knew what it was. It was good for me to get a spring in
Mhm.
before basketball started. For me the next year, but I enjoyed having mat drills, going through mat drills and spring practice,
Mhm.
and doing all necessary things to get prepared and ready for the season.
Yeah, yeah, and I had the opportunity to meet Coach Bowden on a recruiting trip. Now he wasn't recruiting me, but a friend of mine was a high school coach, and he'd let me tag along. And I could just tell you, I mean, he had me ready to run through a wall. I was like, "Can I sign? Where can I go?" He was just such an amazing coach, and one of the greatest. And it's just, I still have a picture in my Canes cave of Howard Schnellenberger and Bobby Bowden in the ring with boxing gloves, and he was just such a great man. And it shows in the type of players that came out of that university. I live in Tampa now, so I was there, during the years of Derek Brooks and Warwick Dunn, some of your teammates, and you want to talk about the best of the best on the field and off the field and all the things they do in the community, just like yourself. It's just, you could see that he had an impact on a lot of players at Florida State, and was a phenomenal, head coach. And like he always said, if it wasn't for Miami, he probably would have had 5 national
Right.
championships. But you delivered the first. You
Oh,
delivered
this
the first in that '93 season, and it was one of those amazing years for you, statistically. But I just want to know, you guys put it on McCain's. What was that kind of like the pressure's off and we're just going to get rolling? Was there a lot of pressure going into that game, or were you guys confident and felt that you were going to handle your business anyway, or was those losses, those in the previous couple seasons, weighing on you guys?
Well, there was never pressure. Our expectation was to win every game. So and we had players that every game we played, we knew we could win. And so that's half the battle. When you have a team that can compete at the highest level, no matter who you're playing. So it's just a matter of guys coming down and executing at a high level and making plays at the right time. And so that Miami game, the game was looking very similar to all the rest of them, where, we were winning the game and then Miami would score late or, to pull away in some form of fashion. And it was very similar that way. We jumped out on them 21-7, I think it was, at the time, and with some big plays. And, in games like that, big plays matter, and getting a cushion in the lead matters. But the key for us in the second half was we didn't turn the football over, and we kept drives together long enough. And then our defense, they were good all the time. They were stellar. So they gave up 3 points in the second half. And then we were able to get a late interception to seal the game, which was something that we were hoping would happen, some form of fashion, for us to be able to get past, because it was 21-10, and we didn't want to see them come back again like they've done every year to win it at the end. And so Devin Bush, the interception to seal it. And that was just, the monkey off our back in the sense of getting over that hump.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the only game to.
No.
Yeah. Notre Dame.
So we had a hiccup there at Notre Dame. But that hiccup, playing on the road against, I think they were number 2 at the time. And so it wasn't a huge loss because we lost by a touchdown. We came back and we actually had the football with the opportunity to score, to tie it up. And, it just didn't happen. It wasn't meant for us. And I think that played a big part in us not dropping too far out of the top.
Yeah.
Five.
And college was just different then, because it was weird. It was the timing of the loss. You could have one loss, but if it was later in the year, it's going to haunt you. And I think, obviously with Notre Dame, that one loss, they got later in the year against, I think it was Boston College, if my memory is right.
They lost. Oh, sorry about that. They lost. They lost the game the following week. Seemed to be the thing that happened when teams beat us, or they play super hard and they end up losing, and then they tank. Seemed like after they play us, and so we were happy that they got loose and the game was close, and they ended up losing it because we didn't drop as far as people wanted us to. We were number 3 at the time, and when they lost, that pushed us back into the top 2, and then we just had to go take care of our business. That same night we played NC State. After we saw and watched Notre Dame lose, so it was time for us to go out and take care of business, and we did. We won that game 62-3, and then we had to hit the swamp where they were at a 23-game win streak going into that game, and of course, as I've said, we were confident going in because we wanted to be the ones to break the streak.
Yeah,
and we were able to do that. Not going away, but again, if you're going to be a championship team, you got to make plays at the right time. and we were up the whole game. Quiet the crowd the whole game until the fourth quarter. They made some plays down the stretch of that game to close it to like 5 or 6 points, and then we were able to make a play to seal it. My pass to Ward to seal it, and so that secured a spot for us in the championship game.
Yeah.
The Orange Bowl of all
Yeah,
places.
Orange Bowl. So one of the greatest games in college football history. So take us through the emotions of that game. Because even going back and I watched it the other day as we're getting ready for the show. And I still had a minor heart attack, even though I knew it was going to happen. Like, what was it like going through that game? And actually, when they put time back on the clock, when we thought everyone sealed it, what was your thoughts going through that game?
Well, I mean, people thought that the game was going to be like the one we played them the year before. Which we won 27-14, and everyone thought that the game would be like that again. But we knew that it was going to be difficult. They had they played a 3-man front, and so we knew it was going to be hard defensively. But from their defense, from an offensive standpoint, we knew it was going to be hard. But as I mentioned, all year our defense was solid, and they kept us in games when we were struggling, or if we struggled. And they also helped us build leads by giving us opportunities the entire season. And so this game was no different. We were moving the football again, and we were kicking field goals, but our defense wasn't giving up, much. We were fortunate to get some penalties that got some things called back. But as a competitor, we had a chance to go down and get us a score, and we were able to do that. With 1:16 on the clock, we were able to drive the football down. They had a couple penalties, but we were able to kick the field goal this time with Scott Bentley, our super freshman. And he kicked it straight through, and it was a little nerve-wracking once they put a little bit more time on the clock from the pass that they made. But at this point, it was just fate. It was for us, because as you watch the last kick, our defense once again rushed the kicker to make him kick it a little bit faster than he probably wanted to. And he hooked it. He was a little bit out of his range, but I think the pressure from the edge, Clifton Abraham, I think, was one of the guys who came around the edge to put a little pressure on him. And like I tell my players, when you get down to the last few seconds of a game, you could be tired, you can be worn out, but if you want to win, that's what all those wind sprints, those stadium steps, and all that conditioning you do, that's the time that it comes out in those types of moments. And we found a way to, rush the kicker, and the kicker missed it left. And so, as we all know, sometimes you never get an opportunity again. And while you're there, you have to make sure you take advantage of it. And we were fortunate that we were able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what a amazing season, bringing that national title back, for Bobby Bowden and all the great seasons you guys have had, getting close. Like I said, there were so many times you guys finished 2 just behind Miami. But I just have to ask a question: is Florida, Miami? I asked Brad Johnson. I've asked Miami guys. What's the bigger rival for you when you're playing? Was it going to the Swamp or going to the Orange Bowl?
They were both. It was the same.
It was the same.
Yeah.
I always felt that in talking to Miami players in Florida State, we always had there's always respect, even the fans. But neither one of us seemed to like Florida, so I just wasn't sure if that's the way you felt too. But
Florida just happens to be the sandwich. So
yeah,
of both schools, and so they just get the brunt of the top and the bottom, and that's just it.
yeah. And looking at your opportunity, obviously you had a phenomenal Heisman Trophy. You won every award, and then you've got the NFL draft. And I know that they said if it weren't going to be a first round pick, you didn't want to go in, and they didn't draft you. But I mean, looking back, I know you said there was no regrets, but looking at today's game and how things have changed from then to now, I tell people you remind me more of like Steve Young. You weren't a running quarterback. You were one of the more accurate passers in college football. You could throw on the run. You can extend plays. It seems to lend itself a lot in this game. I think it was a big mistake by teams not taking you, and that's coming from a Miami fan. I've seen you. You should have been playing in the NFL. But if you had to do it now and you had the same opportunity, do you think you would have wanted to go to the NFL over the NBA?
Well, it wasn't a matter of what I wanted to do. And today's time is totally different than when I came out of school. And
Yeah.
so probably, I don't know what it would be, but in this day and age, playing two sports is not, going to happen, not at a decent level. There's just a lot of demand on, there's just a lot of demand in both sports. But I was able to do it, and I'm grateful that I had two coaches that were willing to allow me to do it. But it wasn't a matter of choice for me. As I mentioned, and I talk about a lot, is do you have to go where there's a job?
Mhm.
We don't go places where there's no job, no job offered. And so, the NFL didn't offer me a job, and so that was something I needed to, understand. At the time I did, and once that happened, I just went and started pursuing my NBA career. And so I put a lot more time, I should say, into preparing for the NBA combines and the NBA draft. And that was, it was real worth it because I got an opportunity to play, get drafted in the first round of the NBA draft by the New York Knicks. And it was definitely a God thing because at the time when I made my statement about, if I didn't get drafted in the first round of the NFL, if I got drafted in the other round, I would consider my other options. I had no clue that I would be a first round pick in the NBA. But, as I talk about when I go out to speak, when you make decisions in life, you have to be willing to live with the results.
Mhm.
And whatever those results are, it's the choice that you made, and you just have to be willing to live with it. And so I was willing to live with not being drafted in the NFL if that's what my statement meant. And God was gonna. My prayer was God to open and close the door.
Mhm.
So He definitely closed the NFL door, and that was just an opportunity for me to be able to go and push forward the NBA career, and He opened that door for me. So all I asked for in life is a chance, and that they gave me a chance.
Exactly. Because, people, a lot of the younger kids who watch our channel right now, they don't understand that not only did you play basketball, you went to the Elite Eight at Florida State with Sam Cassell. You
Mhm.
also won the national championship playing football, Heisman, but you were also drafted by the Yankees, right? Is that baseball?
Yes, the Yankees,
Yes.
Milwaukee
Yeah.
Brewers,
Yeah.
Mhm.
my junior and senior year.
Yeah.
But I played baseball 1 year in high school, and most of my baseball time was doing little league, like
Mhm.
fifth and sixth grade. But I mean, they drafted me based upon
Potential.
potential, and if I would have chosen to go play baseball, they wanted to have my rights.
Mm,
Yeah.
that makes
But
sense.
that just shows the type of athlete, Jay Tuck and I were talking about so many times on college athletes, you hear Bo Jackson, Herschel Walker. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know too many athletes who should have been a first round pick in the NFL. I'll say it should have been a first round pick. Was a first round pick in the NBA, and also got drafted in baseball just on raw ability and potential. I mean, it's amazing. But going into the NBA, you had I mean, you had a nice, you had a very solid career, long career in the NBA. How was that experience with the Knicks? Now, I'm a Miami guy, so my Heat, you break our hearts every, back in the day, sometimes. But how was that in the NBA in that time?
How was what?
The NBA, like playing in the NBA, playing in New York, the big city. You're a point guard, heavy defense. Just your thoughts on your NBA career
Yeah.
playing with the Knicks.
Well, I was grateful. It took me a couple years to get on the court, but the process of getting there, I was happy to be there because not too many people get an opportunity.
Yeah.
So, especially in my situation. But I was grateful that the Knicks chose me, and I just wanted to be the best professional athlete I could possibly be. And that's all I wanted to do. I mean, as kids, we always dream of this. Growing up, and then it actually happened. So, I just wanted to take advantage of it, and put the time and the energy into making sure that the outcome I wanted to make sure that I was prepared for it, preparing for that. And I was grateful that I had coaches like Coach Jeff Van Gundy, who took me under his wing to help me in my skill development, along with giving me an opportunity to be, in the rotation, during my time with the Knicks. And then as I moved on to, Houston Rockets, he brought me there. And so he was very instrumental in me being in the league for about 11 years, for the most part. And so, but to be able to go to different places, we were able to go to China, of course, going to all the different arenas and cities. All those things were great blessings to be able to, broaden my experiences, and all the different people that I was able to meet during that time, along with having fun at the Garden. That's not something a lot of people watch, but that was my home for 9.5 seasons, and so I was grateful that I had that opportunity. I didn't know how I was going to go, coming from Thomasville and Tallahassee to New York. That was a big change, but I was able to make the adjustment, learn how to live in a big city, and not get too lost in it, but learn how to live in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned how the game has changed since you played at Florida State. So Florida State currently, they have a young quarterback in Jordan Travis. What's your outlook for the Noles coming into this season under Mike Norvell? Do you think that we're on the cusp of possibly getting to the national championship, or we still got a lot of work to do?
They have a team that's built to win every game. So regardless of who they're playing, they have a chance to win the game. And as I mentioned before, that's all you can ask for. And they have quality depth, which is what you always need. You have a quarterback that's coming back and he ended the season playing at a high level. And the expectation is for him to continue to, rise to that level or even better. And he's putting the work in, and we have a good group. The wide receivers, just overall, just good, talented group with some experience. And so we have a chance. There's nobody on the schedule that we can't beat.
Yeah,
and that's not. He's including Miami too.
I know. Well, Jay Tuck he's a jinx because we've been together. Well, thankfully, I missed the last one where we got absolutely steamrolled. But we've been together for the last couple of Miami games. They haven't turned out in my favor, so I'm starting to wonder if Jay Tuck might be the problem. But I mean, it goes similar to Miami. I think Miami, obviously with Cristobal, they're getting things going. I think he just needs a little bit more time and get things going. But your thoughts on college football today, with the NIL, the transfer portal. Do you think that's a good thing for the game, or do you think it's something that is a little bit could get out of hand?
They need to put some parameters around it, so that they can get a handle on it. Because right now, one reasons they put it in was for more retention, and that was the thought process. But it turned into a pay-for-play scheme, recruiting mechanism for for high school athletes and guys on other teams, or ladies players from other teams.
Mhm.
And so that's something that they need to put some parameters around, to be able to get it under control
Mhm.
from that aspect. And but I think hopefully if they can put some parameters around it, then it won't become a major focus, outside of just retention. You get them there. Hopefully, they can put something in place. I would like for them to have a clause in there where, you sign and you have to start school before you can get an NIL deal.
Mhm.
Now you can work the deal out before you get on campus, but it doesn't kick in until you actually start classes.
Mhm.
That way, even if the deal was done before, it doesn't look like, you know, there was recruiting violations.
Mhm.
Um, so it's just those types of things that I feel like can be very helpful.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like almost free agency in college sports right now. It's open season with the transfer portal and a lot of different things going on. Mike, you have a question?
No, I know we're up against the clock. So Jay Tucker, if there's one last thing, otherwise I just wanted to just talk about all the great things that Charlie Ward's doing in the community. Obviously his coaching basketball and
Mhm.
giving back and all that kind of stuff. So, but I know you're the big fan, so I want to give you one last shot.
I would just say, the last question I would ask you, a kid comes up to you and say, "Hey, Mr. Ward, I want to accomplish some of the things that you accomplished in your career, sports wise." What would be your number one message you would get to the kid?
Um, well, a lot of that's just foundational work. So
Mhm.
what I mean by that is you got to have a work ethic. If your work ethic right now is your foundation, then you have a chance. Of course, you got to make sure that you stay healthy. So learning to take care of your body, understanding that factor plays a big part. Make sure you find the right people to hang around, because if you think you can hang around certain people and they're going in a different direction, they can definitely bring you down. And then most times they become your best friends. And then if you're making it to a certain level and they're still making poor choices, then at some point they may bring you down. So, the choices of your friends, the people you hang around, are very, very important. So the foundational things, just to give yourself a chance to have an opportunity to be drafted, to go to the next level. Those are very, very important.
Yeah, and I don't know if this was your quote or one you say, but I wrote it down, and if it's yours, I got to see if I could borrow it for my personal life. Is embracing the process that leads to success, and I just think that's I've always heard trust the process, but I think embracing the process that's a different way to say it, and I think that's impactful.
Yes, it is. I mean, there is a process. We all have it.
Mhm.
You just have to learn from it. And, I do talk about preparation. I talk about perseverance and then patience. And so there's a process of all those things involved in your success. And success to me is not the outcome, is what you learn through the process.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like you get me hyped up. I'm, at my work, that's what I do. It gets me motivated. But talk, the last couple of minutes, you've got the giving back youth development sports camps that you do. Obviously, your family's foundation. You're coaching high school, right? High school basketball. Had a couple great seasons. But I just think giving back to kids is so important. And it's something that I love and always do. It's I always say give something back to the place where you made it from. And I've had coaches and people in my life that's been impactful to me and my success. But talk a few minutes about some of the work that you do, and maybe if people can reach out into some of your foundations.
Our family foundation, my wife and I, our main focus and goal is to help youth organizations in disaster relief. Those are our two main focuses, and we currently have a shoe drive going on right now. You can find out more information, on the website charlieward.org, and we have a shoe drive for that we're going to be giving to underserved youth that are in sports, football, basketball, baseball, golf. So we have that drive going on right now here in the local area. And I'm doing a Father's Day clinic uh, and a Father's clinic in one in Tallahassee, which is on Father's Day, and then September 24th, I'm doing another one, same format, in Thomasville. And so those are two things that we do. And our daughter, um, as I said, is a family foundation. So our daughter raised funds for I-9, which is a local, it's not local, but it's national organization for youth sports. And so she raised money to help scholarship some of the kids to be able to participate in their sports, and also Javassier, which is a orchestra, youth orchestra. She helped to provide some resources for them to be able to get instruments for those that may not have had them, and also for those that wanted to be a part that may not have had resources to be a part. She helped raise funds for that, and so that's our mission and goal, is to be able to help those that are in need, and then partner with those that may have, and I mean, we all need something.
Mhm.
Uh, so that's our main focus and goal as our foundation, is to be able to give back.
Yeah, and I think I mean just great things, and I'll make sure we get that on the show and on the link for everyone to definitely check out. And like I said, it's hard. I'm a Miami guy, but man, you're a better person than you were an athlete. And that's saying a lot because you're an amazing athlete. So and again, your teammates with work done and Derek Brooks and Coach Bowden. It's hard for Miami. It's hard for Miami I got to show love to you because you guys were just such great people and athletes. So I wanted to personally thank you for taking the
Yes,
time to
thank
come
you.
on the
Thank
show.
you.
But Jay Tuck, I wanted to give you the last there you go. Give you the last word with your idol growing up, Charlie Ward. Now you
Yeah,
can be a fan for a quick second.
exactly. It's like once again, thank you for joining the show. This has made my day. Like I said, I've been talking about this for weeks. So thank you for everything that you've done. Like I said, because of you, I'm a Seminole fan, and I decided to play football and end up playing football throughout my career because of Charlie Ward. So I appreciate you, and go Noles, man. Go Noles.
Who knows?
uh,
Appreciate you guys having me.
no, thank you so much. And again, we'll definitely get all the information and pass it on. But thank you so much for taking the time to come in the cave.
My pleasure.
All
Appreciate
right,
you guys.
Here.
take care. Bye.
All right.
Well, that was
Wow.
it. That was such a great person,
Yeah.
great athlete, and we'll definitely get all the stuff on there. Go Knowles! I mean, gee, I
No, it's
redid
like, yeah,
the
I had
cave
this
and
kid, this card, it's a pretty sweet card, man. I had this card since I was a kid, man, and I just remember seeing this card and seeing the basketball jersey and the football pads on, and I used to sit in the back of my classroom and draw this card over and over and over. So, it's crazy to be able to meet someone who grew up idolizing Charlie Ward. Like my guy Mendoza, he's a huge Seminoles fan, and that is the reason why. Because more than likely, Mike, if it wasn't for Charlie Ward and Peter Ward, I probably would have had the same colors you got on. Because then it would have been like the Sean Taylor, the Ed Reed. I probably would have just been a Cane. But just seeing Charlie Ward, him jump off the screen, and what a lot of people don't understand is like he threw for 26 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions. Like
yes,
he was an incredible quarterback in college, and we see the Bryce Youngs and a lot of these different quarterbacks that a lot of people are talking about, like he won the Heisman by a huge marginal rate. Like he was just by landslide, tops and bottoms, the best player in college football. So, for a lot of the younger people who watch these channels and we're like, who was that guy? I recommend just go to YouTube, type in Florida State versus Nebraska Orange Bowl, and just sit back and just watch your heart jump. Like I said, I had seen that game 1,000 times, and even I watched it this past weekend. I was just like,
no. I mean,
so,
and the thing, he's so humble. That's
right.
the
Oh,
part. I mean, I'm not used to with Miami guys. We're gonna start a little bit.
yeah, Miami swag. Like,
He
yeah,
is just a phenomenal
yeah.
person, and like I said, to be that athlete and to be a better person, that's a tall task. But he does so much for community. So we're going to get that information out there. But again, you guys, we do this all the time. Whenever it's Canes
Yeah,
and Knowles, Tuck and I got to get together. But like, subscribe, share. We didn't get
yeah.
a chance to do all that kind of stuff because we got excited. Ran a
And
little
so,
late.
and we're connected to my channel. So everyone on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, go subscribe to the Cowboys Cave, because Mike, go ahead and tell them what you're doing tomorrow.
No, tomorrow night, if you're now we're going back to the
You'll
Cowboys.
chase the colors back. You'll chase the colors back.
We can change that. We got Coach Dave Campo coming into
Yeah.
the cave, talking about his career. And people forget, I don't talk. I mean, 18 years with the Cowboy organization. He was there in '89.
Yeah.
He saw the breakup with Jimmy and Jerry. He came from Miami. He was on the Miami coaching staff with
Yeah.
Jimmy. The thoughts going through his head. Then he gets inherited a pretty rough roster.
Right.
Turned into no favors when he got to be the head coach.
Right. Exactly. So you guys definitely check it out, because that's what's important. I tell a lot of young Cowboys fans, know your history, know about Dave Campbell. Like there's a lot of shadiness that happened after the whole Jimmy Johnson situation, and I'm sure Campo can definitely elaborate on some of it, maybe not all.
Yeah,
Some
well,
of it.
we'll see what we can get at him. But he's a great guy, and we're so looking forward to it. So again, we're gonna have some more stuff up our sleeves. I'm still working on one more no for you. One more love fest.
I don't
Then
know,
no
man.
no.
I mean, you set the bar pretty high with that one. Like that was pretty high. I remember when you text me, I was like, "Oh my goodness!" Like and here's the crazy thing: I've interviewed coaches, players. This was like the first interview I was kind of like nervous for, because like, man, this is Charlie Ward. Like this is the poster I used to have on my wall, and throw the football, around in my room, like, so it's different, man. But like you said, he's an incredible person on and off the court and field, which makes it even easier to root for. So
Yeah. The only one that got me scared was Barry Switzer. He just made me nervous throughout the whole interview. He still had that voice, still had that, and it's like, oh man, I'm scared.
yes.
So anyway, I know you got something. What are you doing? You got another thing going on, right?
Yes, I am about to hop on here in a second with George Teague. We're going to do a lot of NFL draft content with George Teague. For those who do not know, he's the protector of the star. So anytime you watch Dallas Cowboys football and you see T.O. run into the star and he gets cream, that's George Teague. So I'm about to jump on George Teague's channel here in a minute and talk some NFL draft. So come on through, man. Come on through. We are gearing up for draft season. A lot of draft content gearing up for next week. This is where the fun starts, Cowboys Nation.
Yeah. You guys take care. Jump on, stay on with J Tuck. I'll be checking that out. You guys take care. I appreciate